Come correct or don't come at all.
This is the Hartzog Hustle Podcast.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
And we're talking about the hustle, strategy, and mindset you need to win in the areas of your finance, your purpose, and your future.
You know what I'm saying?
If you have heart and you want to learn how to activate the power of your hustle, then this is the podcast for you, baby. For you, baby.
Congratulations.
And now, your hosts, Anthony and Janilka Hartzog.
This is how it should be done.
Welcome to another episode of the Hartzog Hustle Podcast. We appreciate you guys being here. Number one, my name is Anthony Hartzog, and I'm joined here by my beautiful wife and co-host, Janilka.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you. If it's your first time, welcome.
We appreciate you guys being here. Listen, if you guys...
No, I'm saying you would think I'll be ready every time because we read out reviews that we've gotten from people on the podcast, and I'm never ready.
We always like to do reviews of the week because we appreciate you guys being here. So if you are new here or you haven't left us a review or rating, please do on your favorite podcast player, whether it's Apple, Spotify, I don't know what else you guys use, iHeartRadio, maybe, I don't know.
Yes.
Also, if you're watching us on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe to the YouTube page, The Hartrimony. Helps us reach more people, and it helps us help more people, more importantly. So we're going to wait for Janilka. She got the review of the week.
I am ready. So this is from 87 question mark. It said, love getting to hear about this black couple prosper. You guys are an inspiration to this young woman living in Dallas, Texas also. So hello, 87 triple question mark. Thank you for leaving that review. We really appreciate it.
Definitely do.
This helps us to continue to grow. Eventually, probably get some sponsorships and things like that. We are. Is this episode 30 yet? I just want to say we're on our way.
We're out here.
We're doing real well.
Yeah, we are out here. So before we get started, number one, let me just we got the Essentia label here, and they don't sponsor us. So until they do, we got to make sure the labels aren't shown.
Right now, Alani is taking if you didn't know, we have a 4-month-old. So right now she's taking what seems to be generally she takes a 3-hour nap every day. So we think this is the time. So now we're like, all right, let's record. Let's get to it. So let's do it.
And I also want to stress that too, because I know, hold on, as I'm trying to get this label off, we are trying our best to make sure we get these episodes going. We moved the studio into our house to make sure we're able to just jump in and go. I don't think people recognize how difficult it is, and I talk about this all the time, to keep these type of contents going. Like, so she takes a long nap, and we're like, all right, we know if she takes this long nap, we're gonna try to record. So we had everything ready, we had everything like lined up, and we gotta run. But we also want to make sure we don't rush these episodes, but also we want to make sure we give you valuable content as well. So as I'm pulling up this label, we're gonna catch you guys up on the last episode.
The last episode we spoke about. Well, not necessarily top, but we touched on the young man that spent 27 years at Burger King, and they gave him some like Reese's with a pen in a clear plastic bag. It just didn't do him right. Personally, is how I feel. Now, maybe you're in the social media world, but GoFundMe, people on GoFundMe have raised $200,000 for him.
It was up to 3 at this point.
Oh well, $300,000 for him to thank him for his years of service at Burger King. And I know he was on the news. I don't know which news he was on. And they were like, how did you not miss a day of work for 27 years? And he just was thankful. He was like, I was thankful to get up. I have to make money for my kids, things like that. And he was very humble, but thankful to the world to raising some money for him, because the pen and Reese's wasn't doing it for me. So...
And I watched that video of his interview, and he's just explaining like his gratitude for just life. He's like, I got kids to feed, I got a family to feed. He's like, I don't even think about missing work. How many of us wake up like that? Just number one, being grateful for life, but then also grateful enough to just have a job. He's like, I wasn't thinking about the 27 years of service or anything like that. He's like, I'm just grateful to have a job. And I know we all say, because I had this conversation with a friend before, and it was. I remember back in the day when we all wanted these jobs, right? The jobs we have now.
Oh, yeah.
The jobs we have now is the jobs we always wanted, right? So whether that was I remember my first $60,000 job, I was excited for it. We was in New York or something like that. And then I was bragging, I had my first $60,000 job. And then that was a job I wanted. That was a job of my career, my dreams. And as we continue to grow, we forget that we prayed for that. We forget we prayed for those type of jobs. And I don't want us to ever get out that mindset of just forgetting to be grateful for what we have. And that's kind of his mindset every single day. And I was like, That was just super amazing. I think we actually did donate a couple dollars to him too. So
yeah, he was. He wasn't upset with the gifts that he received. At least in the video. Yeah, I think social media made a bigger deal. He didn't have an issue with it. Social media made a bigger deal, but I'm glad that I guess we were able to come together as a community and provide him with something more than that.
Yeah. So shout outs to him. And we are just getting over the July 4th weekend. So if you guys had a great weekend, let us know what you did. Let us know if you enjoyed it. I think we just showed for the most part. We just catching up on the weekend before that.
Yes, which that would be majority of our conversation today. So the weekend before 4th of July, we had family fly down from New York, some people from Maryland, somebody from Cali. Well, we had family and friends come down, basically, to celebrate multiple things happening in our lives. So, as you know, or maybe you don't know, Anthony retired in December. Yay! Woo-hoo. At 35 years old, he retired. We also bought our first primary residence in December.
The house we live in
currently. And then we had a baby girl, if you didn't know, and she just hit 4 months. So that is what we celebrated with family. So it was a retirement, housewarming, and a sip and see, because no one had met Alani yet besides, our parents and stuff like that. So
what's a sip and see?
A sip and see, if you don't know, is where you sip a drink and you see the child. So some people do this if they're not able to have a baby shower. Yeah. Some people do like a sip and see so that you can come and meet the baby. We did both because our family lives out of state and they're not able to meet her like that. And we won't be going to New York until August. By then, she'll be about 6 months. It's just another reason to celebrate. If you didn't know the Hartzogs like to celebrate, why not?
That's one thing we do really well is celebrate.
So that was the 3 events we had, and it was amazing. We did a full weekend of events, planned a full weekend of events for people to do when they're down here. We had about 10 people staying in this house.
A lot of people.
We had a lot of people staying here. Some people were in hotels, Airbnbs. And then the Saturday night, we had a whole event in our backyard. Tents, hibachi, they come to your house. We had a bar. It was gorgeous. We had a really good time. So family was here from, some people came in did a full week, but most people came from like Thursday to Monday. And we celebrated that, and it was really good. It was really good. And somebody asked, well, because last year I did a surprise 35th for his birthday, and that was a whole shebang. So somebody said, are you guys doing something next year? And I'm like, I don't got nothing in mind, but who knows what may come up. Yeah. We may be celebrating something next year, but yeah.
So this weekend was just all about celebration. That's going to be the theme of the episode. And sometimes, especially with us, we go through life and we're always about the next thing, but we very rarely take time out to just celebrate, where you are today, what you accomplished today, and, not even think about where you're going to be tomorrow, but where you are today and what you've done previously. So one of my friends, and I told him I was going to mention this is going to be a topic of the episode, just celebration. And congratulations. That was going to be the name of the episode. Congratulations. Yeah. And he just was saying all weekend, congratulations. I'm like, for what? He's just like, everything. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's just like, we don't got to go through everything. But he's just like, congratulations on everything you guys have done. And I was like, yo, congratulations to you. And he's like, for what? And I'm just like, yo, everything you've overcome. Yeah. And that just became the theme of the entire weekend, just telling each other congratulations for not just what you accomplished today, but also what you accomplished previously. And maybe things down the line that you haven't even got to. And that was just real. I really just enjoyed the moment of just being able to just tell each other congratulations.
Real wholesome. It feels good.
It felt good.
It feels good because I think, like you said, sometimes we may downplay certain things and we're like, oh, that's not a big deal. Or, oh, I just did that, because it feels normal, like part of our routine. So to be able to say that to others as well and take it in, it feels good to do that.
Especially with us, like if we literally go through it. So like us buying a house, it seemed like a small thing. Like people buy houses all the time.
Yeah.
It's not
a big deal.
But it's a big deal. People, if you buy a house or even if you get your first apartment, like those are big deals. When people get their apartments, their first apartments, they celebrate. People buy a house, they celebrate. These are big milestones that you want to celebrate each and every time. And you want to congratulate yourself or pat yourself on the back for these accomplishments. And we want to continue to do that as you go throughout life. And a house is like, all right, well, we got our house. But if you think about it, it's like, it was really a big deal.
Yeah. And if you're around people that are not celebrating you or themselves, maybe you need a new circle. Maybe you need a new circle because even if it's a routine thing, so even if everybody had a house before, it's still something that I think that, especially from where we came from, like now it feels so like, okay, what's the next thing that you guys are going to do?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we came from Brooklyn, New York in the projects, and we just left New York 6 years ago. Is it 6?
Yeah.
Yeah. We just left New York 6 years ago, and our life has completely changed. So yeah, it is something to be celebrated. And for you, whatever that is, a new job, losing 5 pounds, I don't know, whatever it is going on in your life, make sure that you're congratulating yourself and those around you.
That's an important bar, just celebrating those around you too. Congratulating those around you.
Yeah.
So a question that came up all weekend was like, all right, well, what does retirement look like now?
Oh, yeah, for you. Like, what do you do since you're retired?
What do you do? And people was asking me all weekend, like, what do I do since I retired?
First of all, he doesn't do what I would like him to do as a retired person. That's what I
think they were asking me the question, number one.
Okay, but I'm just giving that input there. You're going to say your part, but I'll add on.
So they were like, what do you do all day? Like, what does your life look like now? And I wanted to make it clear. I was telling them all the time. I kept telling them the same thing. I was like, retirement didn't mean I just stopped working. Retirement for us didn't mean that things just stop and now I just chill all day. Retirement meant that I left my corporate job where I work for somebody else and now I work for my family. I work for myself and my family. And I think that's always the goal we always say we want to get to is like, all right, we want to retire, but you got to figure out what does that look like for you? You and your spouse and your family, your job, like what does that look like for you? So retirement didn't mean I just wake up and do nothing all day. It meant for me, it was like, all right, I'm leaving my job where I have a structured routine working for somebody else between the hours of 9 to 5. And then now I could create my own routine for myself and my family between the hours of whatever I want it to be. Now, some days maybe the hours of 9 to 5, I'll make that very clear. Some days in like today, like it may be, all right, we got a couple hours between like 2 and 4. And then Alani wakes up, the day stops, and then maybe she goes back to sleep. Now I put another hour in between 7 and 8. So the hours aren't,
they're not strict hours?
They're not strict hours. I'm not restricted on someone else's schedule. Well, actually, Alani's schedule. I'm not restricted on a job schedule telling me when to come in and when to clock out. Now my life revolves around my own personal schedule and when I want to put those hours in. So that's what this version of retirement looks like for me right now. And it may look different once Alani gets older. It may look different, when she starts when we start traveling more or things like that. So that's what it looks like for me right now. And just want to make that very clear.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that when so you retired in December, Alani was born February 28th. So 2 months later she came. You were trying to get a routine at that point, but then if you never had a child before, with having a newborn, your schedule is their schedule, okay? So now, and we're still tweaking with her schedule as well. So I think, like you said, as she gets older, then you'll probably be able to find a better routine. But I personally think she spent too much time in working. I'd be like, you're retired. You do not need to do those 8 hours in the office, the office we have in the home, to feel like you accomplished something. You don't have to go in every day either. You don't have to, so all of those things I try to remind him because I feel like you get lost in, he's like, okay, I'm at work at 8:30. So he's at work at 8:30 or a little earlier. And then I'm like, okay, I'm off at 5. And he's like, okay, I'm getting off at 5. I'm like, no, you could got off at 1. You could be taking a nap right now. You could be doing all these things. And you're not taking advantage of what retirement life should be.
Retirement doesn't look the same.
I agree.
When you leave your job, I'm sure it's going to be way different than me.
Yeah, and we said we'll have that discussion because our expectations are different as well, right?
Exactly.
So for me, I'm probably like, all right, I'm going to go to the gym, come back, see an episode of SVU. Maybe it's time for a nap, do a little work 3 times a week. And him is like 8 hours, 5 to 6 hours a day, 5 to 6 times a week. And I'm like,
It changes.
That's different. It does change.
I don't watch any SVU during the day unless we're sitting on the couch. So,
right.
But that was a big question that came up because, as we had, like you said, we had family here the whole week. So they saw me
doing things.
They saw me doing different things. And they're like, well, what is he? Is he working? He's in the office. He's not. So retirement, they saw me my laptop a couple of times. Like, all right, is that work? And I think also where we are today in the digital age, working doesn't necessarily mean I got to be sitting in front of a computer all day.
That's true. That's
now
true.
I got my iPad, I got my iPhone, I got my tab, I got a bunch of different things I could be working from.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that I need to be sitting in an office in front of a computer with 2 or 3 monitors with a lumbar spine chair and the ergonomical,
all the things he has.
I'm naming it because it's over there. Or the ergonomical like keyboards and stuff like that. But that's what it looks like, and it does change from day to day. But it was good to have the family here seeing what some of it may or may not look like.
Yeah. So that's what we did, and that was a good time, and we're always going to keep celebrating. I mean, like, we have her christening coming up in August. There's a celebration for that. Then next year she turns 1. You know, so it's just a constant, and as things grow for us, maybe our businesses hit some other milestones and things like that, there will be celebrations. Like, I saw an influencer I follow out here in Dallas, and she had a party last year in December for having $1 million year. And I thought that was amazing. I was like, oh, like, yeah. She had like a dinner with close friends and family, whatever the case, at a restaurant. I was like, oh, wow. Like, never even thought about that. Like, of course you should. Of course you should celebrate. That's huge.
I agree. And it's funny you said that because our friends had gave us a bottle of like champagne for hitting $1 million in our cleaning business.
Yes.
And I didn't even think about it.
Yeah, they did.
It was something we posted. We hit $1 million in our cleaning business. You guys didn't know there's a good commercial break. If you're interested in starting a 6-figure or 7-figure cleaning business without cleaning any houses, check out thecleaningbusinessuniversity.com, thecleaningbusinessuniversity.com. Links will be in the show notes, and we teach you how to start and scale a cleaning business without cleaning. So we hit 7 figures, and they bought us a bottle of champagne. It's like, congratulations. And I was like, oh, that's dope. And it goes back to the topic of just congratulations.
Yeah, it was It was like, oh, okay, so nice. But it's true. It's true. Like, celebrate those things because, you know, some businesses didn't make it past COVID. Some businesses don't make it past 2 years. You know, some people start and stop. So, yes, I appreciated that.
And one of the best things about this, the whole celebratory congratulations weekend was that our family and friends knew our goals. Like, we always talk about like sharing your goals, but a lot of people don't want to share their goals.
Yeah, why is that? I think because they're afraid that if they don't hit the goal, they'll be embarrassed.
Yeah. But why would you be embarrassed in front of family and friends if they're your family and friends?
I don't got the answer.
So exactly, we always talk about sharing your goals and sharing your accomplishments. So our family and friends always knew like what our goals were. They knew we wanted to have a baby. They knew we wanted to have a house. Even you guys knew I wanted to retire from my 9 to 5. They knew we wanted to hit 7 figures. Like, I had a friend hit me up, or a frat brother hit me up like every quarter, like, oh, you guys did $1 million yet? You guys did $1 million yet? What are you guys doing to get there? Like, he's keeping me on my P's and Q's. So you sharing those goals with your family and friends allows them to celebrate with you. Yeah. It allows them to say congratulations to you because they knew you had those goals versus you just coming out and saying it one day. It's like, oh, well, that's dope, but maybe I could have helped you get there some way, shape, or form.
But I also think about, because I think about that sometimes too. I think we spoke about that, I don't remember in what episode, unfortunately.
We can't update that means.
We spoke about the fact that some things you don't even tell certain friends because you feel like they won't understand. Now, obviously logically a friend can understand I'm going for $1 million goal in my business. Now, I'm not saying they're slow, but I'm saying it's different when maybe the friend is an entrepreneur as well, or they have a side business as well. So that may be sometimes why people restrict from sharing with others also, because they feel like they're not going to be able to connect the same, right? So some people, if you didn't know, I used to have 1 million jobs. And so not every friend I'm talking to about that with, because they just have one. Not, like I said, not that they're not intelligent to understand what it feels like to have 5 jobs or 4 jobs, but it just doesn't connect the same. So that could be something that I think sometimes if you don't have someone else that you can lean on that has similar things like you, maybe a reason why you don't share it.
But I agree and disagree. Because I feel like, yes, if we're talking about strictly entrepreneurial things, like, all right, I'm trying to start this other business. All right, cool. I may not tell all my friends and family, but if they know I want to buy a house, or if they know we want to have a baby, or they know we want to, eventually leave our job before 65, I feel like that's how we're able to celebrate our accomplishments in a more larger scale because we put it out there in the atmosphere. Yeah. So our friends and family aren't all entrepreneurs, but they understand you want to buy a house. They understand you want to get this car. They understand this. So
yeah, they understand when the Bentley is my afterlife car.
Just the Bentley. So they understand, like, when we get to these goals, we're going to celebrate. So when we do celebrate, it's going to be big. And they're not shocked when we have these big celebration and congratulatory goals or these big congratulatory weekends because they knew we wanted to achieve them.
Oh, and then it also reminded me, I think we had this discussion too, about when you're celebrating and discussing things, not wanting to feel like you're boasting or what's the word I'm looking for? Bragging or anything like that. So that is another thing that I think sometimes that it's like, how do I just go on to say like, yeah, I hit $1 million in the business, or how do I go on to say I made this or something if it may feel sometimes like you're bragging, even though that's not your intention, and maybe your family and friends don't even feel like that's the intention. But it can just feel that way, I think, sometimes, because I remember when was it? Last year, December. There were a few things back to back that we were announcing, and it just felt weird sometimes. Oh, it was you were retiring, we got a house, and then we had hit like our biggest month, or something like that. And it was just like, oh wow, like all these good things. Not to say people don't want you to have good things, but sometimes it just feels like you're bragging, and that doesn't feel so good either. So
I think it's different when you're also sharing how you got there. If I just came out and said, "Oh, I made $1 million today," I see that on social media all the time. It's like, yo, you sharing the numbers, but you're not sharing the game. Like,
not everybody wants to share the game, though.
You I forgot who called it what. They said you giving them the pasta, but you're not giving them the sauce with it or something like that. I was like, you giving them the dry ass pasta, but there's no sauce. It's like, where's the sauce? Give them the sauce. And I feel like we are always sharing the sauce, so it's not just like, you know, I feel like we always share our goals. So that means you can help us celebrate the accomplishments, but you also
know how to do it.
You also can, exactly. You can always say, one thing people can't say about it is that we never shared what we're doing or how we got there. So I was saying, even when you scroll back to 2017 on social media, you can always go back and see us talking about our debt-free journey. You can see us sitting in with the phone in front of us. If you guys watching on YouTube, like the phone in front of us like this, and the angle's looking bad.
Down.
I just literally posted a video with blue on my lap. My facial hair was looking bad.
You look horrible.
I don't know when I was doing it.
You was trying to grow it out.
Listen, all right. But I'm saying that no one can ever say that we're not giving out the sauce. So I feel like if you're that type of person just sharing the wins without sharing the how-tos to get there with your friends and family, even if they don't want to hear it, that's where the problem comes into play. That's when the feeling of, oh, well, you just bragging. That's where the feeling of where people feel like you're just being out there, just sharing your numbers, but not also just sharing how you got there. And that's where you feel like, well, the feeling of jealousy could come into play. But I never felt like that because we're always sharing
I don't feel like that with our friends and family
always sharing the what and the how. The simple thing is like life insurance with Alani.
Yeah.
Like people was asking like, oh, why do you guys have life insurance with Alani? We didn't just say we had life insurance. We explained why we have life insurance.
Well, why do we have life insurance? Because that was the question that came up. So most people, life insurance, you know it as a death benefit. So that if a person passes away, if they were producing income in some shape or form, you will get that money, if that makes sense. If it impacts you, if that makes sense. So people are saying she's a 4-month-old. I'm sure you guys, you're talking about you have $1 million business and stuff. I'm sure you guys can handle if she passes away.
Yeah.
But I guess it depends on what you're using it for, right? So all life insurances are going to have a death benefit attached to it, but we also want to use it as a vehicle for her that she can have a cash value in it, that she can take out money from the life insurance if she needs to or wants to for anything, a business or whatever she wants to do. So it's not really just about the death benefits. Absolutely, hopefully she does not pass before us at all. And if that was to happen, absolutely we can live without her income. She doesn't have income. But it's more about that of her having that cash value and being able to utilize those things. And so I think when we were speaking to our guy that helps us with insurance and stuff, he was just breaking down, okay, at 18, at 25, at 35, at 65, how much money in cash you will have to be able to pull out of this insurance. And so that is that's why we have insurance for her, basically.
I forgot what we were talking about before we got there. So we were just talking about just sharing.
We were talking about sharing, and you shared why that.
And Alani was a big part of our celebration too. And so she was a big part of our celebration. Our entire weekend was about Alani. Every single picture, every single video was about Alani.
Everybody got to meet her, of course.
And it's as we're talking about insurance, like I saw that Chadwick, Black Panther, he had a situation where his estate didn't have the proper planning set up.
Yeah, which is shocking.
So I guess they lost I think he had like $4 million in, like his net worth was like $4 million. His assets were like worth I don't know what the exact number was.
Okay, has to be more.
But approximately $4 million, and they lost about 1/4 of that to lawyers and attorneys and people trying to make sure his money is gathered correctly. So this is another reason why we always talk about just sharing celebrating your knowledge, your wins, with your family and friends, because now if I have a health condition and you know it, or somebody else knows it, now you could be like, all right, well, you ever thought about this? And that this may be the estate planning
or something.
Yeah, that this may be the estate planning, it may be the trust, it may be the will, the beneficiaries. Well, we don't have to spend 1/4 of our assets, our life assets of our money to go to attorneys and lawyers because we didn't have that set up. So that's another reason why we talk about celebrating these wins and congratulating each other, because we're always open with the conversation. So that's another important part that I saw on social media. I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Definitely. It's shocking for somebody, for a celebrity, especially since they knew he was sick. I don't know.
But you never know people. You never know the type of knowledge he had, the type of corner, or what the insides of that may have been.
No, that's true. That's true.
But you see these stories, and it's always like you're surprised, but you actually not. It usually happens with older people, though. Like
he's not that much.
No, I mean older in terms of like old school singers and family members and stuff like that, like the Jackson estate or
something like that. Yeah,
the Whitney Houston estate.
Because back then, if you think of when they started, then that definitely wasn't being discussed.
Exactly. So you see that, and you're like, I'm not too surprised. But you see a younger, he was my age, 36, 37, maybe.
I think he had 30. Yeah, maybe. Maybe just hit 40, something around there.
He was a younger gentleman, so you see that, you're like, wow, that's crazy. But this is why we share so much, so that maybe there's something that we are missing, or something that we haven't touched on as one of our friends and family may be like, yo, you ever thought about this? So no one can ever say that you didn't share the game or the sauce, as they say.
Yeah. Why are we so adamant about sharing? Just so that people know? Because not everybody likes to share. Like I said, some people, like you said, some people giving the pasta without their sauce. So why do you think it's so important for us to share? I think because most of the knowledge that we've gained and learned, most people don't know in our community. So it never feel like, oh, you didn't know that kind of thing. And if the person didn't know, if it's a family or friend, if they didn't know, what's the reason I didn't share it with them? That's like giving them, they're like, it's like a disservice to them. Yeah. Without telling them, hey, this is what we did. Are you doing this? Or this is what we learned. Are you doing that? Like that type of stuff, that type of information. But why for you do you think it's so important for us to continue to share? Because once again, we can only share with our friends and family. We don't have to share it in the public platform either. So what makes you feel that it's so important to continue to do so?
I think for me, the importance is that we wouldn't be where we are without
people sharing.
And it's not even just, let's remove social media. Let's remove everybody external. Let's just start with like family, like your family members. They're sharing not even just like entrepreneurial or business things. They're sharing relationships. They're sharing love. They're sharing marriage. They're sharing like those type of things. So you have people in your families that are sharing these type of things, which is helpful for you as a young individual growing up. You see love in the household. You see friendship. You see family. You see celebration. You see congratulatory things. So that's very important. It's giving you a base, a foundation. So you build on that foundation, right? So you get married, and you're like, all right, now that I'm married, I have the love, I have the emotion, I have the support, I have the friends, I have the family. But what's next? The finances. Like, so you talk about like one thing, a few things we always talk about: finances, fitness, family, faith, and probably missing something else.
That's it.
Finances, finances, family, fitness, faith. Yeah. So those are like, let's say those are like your natural life pillars. So you already got the base with the family, right? You got the base with the faith. So you go into church, you got the family, you got the relationships, you got all that stuff. So now you start learning about finances. You start learning about finances. Me, and personally, I didn't start learning about finances until college. So it's like, all right, that gives you a base understanding of it. But when you get married, you got bigger goals. You got bigger things you want to accomplish. So when we started seeing other communities sharing this knowledge with each other, and you get just a piece of our community going in, not even just everyone going in, you may have somebody like me going into another community. It's like, oh, well, this is what, for example, like Jewish people do this with their money. Asian people do this. And they're like, oh, wow, that's pretty cool that they use life insurance for not just the death benefit. You could use it for other ways, other vehicles. Oh, they're using it to fund businesses, to buy real estate and stuff like that. So you got people like that who are just curious to see what other people are doing, and now they're bringing it back to the community. So I think that's important because now we're able to share with each other and everybody else on our platform.
Yeah. I think that's the point. Like now, more people are knowledgeable, even if it's just one person listens, right? If one person takes what we're saying, then we did well. We ran well. We ran well for people because you never know. You don't know what you don't know. It's a statement. And you're like, huh? But you literally don't know what you don't know. So unless you hear it or you like expand on it, we have people that even with the cleaning business that been cleaning for years, and they hear our story and they're like, I never thought about hiring people to do the cleaning. And you could be like, well, duh. Like, what you mean? I never thought about cleaning, right? Yeah. But you don't know what you don't know. And so they take that information and then run with it. So I think that's the reason that why we continue to share and let other people in on what we know, what we learn, things like that.
And then that's also when you start sharing, you figure out, all right, I want to learn this information. So I'm going to learn it from family. I'm going to learn it from more than likely, you're going to try to learn everything you can from family and friends.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, all right, who knows this? And you may be comfortable, you may not. But once you realize that there is certain information that your family and friends do not have, you start going outside of that. So you may start to figure out, all right, I'm going to pay somebody for this information, or I'm going to try to learn it on my own.
Podcasts, social
exactly.
media.
And that's all we continue to do. So everything that we know, we always sharing with friends and family because we want to be able to say, all right, we shared this with our immediate circle so that they can hopefully share with their immediate circle and those thereafter. That's what we continue to do. One thing that happened this weekend that really pissed me off that I always say that we shouldn't. I'm gonna go back. So
go ahead.
This week
I don't know the story.
I was gonna talk about the car.
What happened to it?
So I always say you're going to pay in time or you're gonna pay in money. So we knew we were having friends and family come over.
Yeah.
For months. We had this car sitting in this garage. Again.
Well, my mom was driving it.
It was all right. Either way, it was sitting in the garage. You're always going to pay in time or money, and you have to make that decision before that decision is made for you. So this car is sitting in this garage for weeks at a time. We knew it was going to be a hot-ass weekend.
Yeah.
100+ degrees this weekend. We have two cars. One car that we drive with no problem. The other car we knew we were going to let other people drive. So the hottest day of the weekend, the car, guess what happens to it?
What came on? The light came on? No, what was on?
The AC went out.
Well, the AC was never really strong. It was always in the night.
It was never really strong, but the problem was that it was 100+ degrees outside.
Oh, yeah. And then
so we're driving it 30 minutes. We never drove it that far because we never needed to.
And we don't go that far.
So we're driving it 30 minutes, and this AC is not blowing. It is hot outside. It is 106 degrees. And I'm like, no way. So on the hottest day that it was this entire year, the AC goes out. It's not blowing air. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to run to the mechanic to get it fixed
It was a Friday, and we had got to the gun range for about 11:30. So
yeah.
11:30, 12 o'clock, lunchtime.
So lunchtime on a Friday, on the hottest weekend of the year so far, because it's probably going to be hotter.
Yeah.
I decided that I'm going to run to the mechanic to get this car fixed. And we all know,
let it be.
Running to the mechanic don't mean it's going to be a run.
Nope.
It means you're going to be a sit. So I get to the mechanic at probably like 11:30, and I'm sitting in this car with it was a drive-through mechanic. I'm sitting in this car for an hour, no AC. It's hot outside, and then I find out that they just all right. We got to do some other things to the car. So the mechanic, she did a really good job. She's like, listen, take it to the back. We're going to try to get the AC charged up or something. That in itself took another hour and 15 minutes. I went across the street to Starbucks. I'm sitting there trying to do some work. This took a total of 3 hours. It was 3.5 hours.
It still didn't get fixed.
3.5 hours out my day and the car is still not fixed.
But you were happy with the manager. You said she was
So you're always going to pay in time or money. And if you don't make the decision wouldn't be made for you. I spent upwards of $400 and I wasted 4 hours of my life that I can never get back. So when you guys are thinking about making decisions,
child, couldn't be me. That's why I said to leave it.
You said to leave it. Think about.
I was just like, in that moment, it is what it is. That's the way I felt. Like
you're going to pay in time or money. That is very important. That was the key of that whole story. Make a decision before the decision is made for you. People ask us all the time, like, yo, can I shortcut this? Can I do this? Like, the only real way to shortcut a process is to pay somebody else to do it for you, or you have to do it yourself. That's it. That's it.
And what was it for you?
I paid in both. I paid in time and money.
And we still got to get it fixed.
I tried to pay somebody else to do it for me, and I still had to sit there and wait. Now, what could the alternative have been for that situation? So I was thinking, because I'm sitting there thinking about how could I have done this better. That's just my personality. I'm like, how could I have played the situation out better?
I'm like, make sure you get back on time because we had another activity to get to. I'm like, listen, at this point, lead a call.
I'm like, how could this situation have played out better? So I knew family was coming, so I probably could have scheduled a mechanic, right? Yeah. If I would have scheduled it, I probably could have had someone drive me down to the mechanic with the car, left the car there before the family and friends got here, and I could have had somebody drive me back. By then, the mechanic could have called me and said, hey, we're going to need more time. We're going to need another day or two. I could have planned that better. You, what is it?
You failed to prepare? Failed to plan?
You plan to fail. You prepare. You
don't prepare, you fail.
You fail to prepare. You are preparing to fail, essentially.
Yeah.
So I could have definitely planned that situation better. I just chose not to. And
no better you do better.
I wasted time and I wasted money. So I don't even know how we got there. But I had to tell that.
You thought about it because it was something that pissed you off.
Yeah, that was something that pissed me off this week and that we could have definitely done better with. But I learned my lesson. So I want to make sure I definitely address that. You're going to pay in time or you're going to pay in money.
What else did we have? Listen, we have our notes all the time. What we want to discuss with you guys. No, I think that is it.
That's always going to be it.
That's always going to be it.
That's always going to be it.
As a reminder, if you're listening on YouTube, make sure that you're subscribing, watching, sharing, commenting. If you are listening on, what are the other ones? Apple, Spotify, make sure you're downloading, commenting as well. Let us know if there's any specific topics you want to hear. You know where to find us at The Hartrimony on Instagram. You can send us a message there or even an email. Thank you so much for listening. Did you have anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you for joining us on the Hartzog Hustle podcast. We are the Hartzogs, and we'll see you next time.
Yes.
Peace.
This has been an episode of the Hartzog Hustle podcast. We hope you enjoyed. Be sure to rate and review this podcast on your favorite listening platform. And follow Anthony and Janilka on Instagram at The Hartrimony. That's TheHartrimony. Keep hustling, baby. Keep hustling, baby.
Get that money. Get that